current events with the shadowy past. In early June each year, this quiet area becomes the 51st state of the Federal Union, bursting into a week of strenuous activity as approximately 350 high school juniors arrive on the scene. Who are these boys who will work and play at practicing government? Who are these boys who will work and play at practicing government? Well, they come from everywhere within the state, from large urban schools to those in smaller towns and even rural areas. But one thing they must all have in common: the recommendation of their high school's principal. This recommendation will depend on scholarship, school and community activities, and general character rating. No applicant, whatever his other qualifications, may be outside the upper scholastic quarter of his class. The educator takes seriously his help to the American Legion in finding qualified boys, and no one knows the privilege of boys' state attendance better than the chosen ones, though they might be too out of breath to tell you so. From early spring, State Legion headquarters has been busily leading up to this moment of acceptance with weeks of patient planning and preparation. Mailed forms and communications flow in all directions throughout the state. Each post is sent its maximum quota for applicants based on post membership. This could mean as few as 1 or as many as 16 per post. When the filled-in applications arrive back at headquarters, each boy's qualifications must be finally approved by a top-level committee. They're making sure that each recommended boy stands high in leadership and citizenship. As head of the applications committee, State Legion Commander Jack Adams, receiving yet another batch of applications, works closely with Tommy Jones, West Virginia Legion Adjutant and Boys State Secretary. With the help of sponsoring service organizations, civic groups, business and industry, application approvals are quickly fitted into the administrative machinery. Despite this maze of paperwork and detailed planning on the part of the Legion, there still would be no Boys State without generous sponsor cooperation. They contribute $35 per boy toward the cost of the week at Jackson's Mill. But they contribute in other ways as well. Transportation arrangements to get our young citizens to their 51st state have no price tag to the Legion. Another sponsor donation. This bus is coming into Weirton Community Center to pick up more Boys State citizens. It's already stopped in Chester, Newell, Lawrenceville, and New Cumberland. To give the Weirton Boys Staters a friendly send-off is C.G. Turney, president of Weirton Steel. And this is no mere gesture. Weirton Steel is in the forefront of business sponsors who approve and support the American Legion Boys State of West Virginia. It's Sunday, a day of rest, and this beautiful drive to Jackson's Mill points the way to an exciting and busy 6 days ahead. From all parts of West Virginia they come, ready for a week of learning, work, and play. By mid-afternoon, the population of Boys State has jumped over 250%, not counting relatives and friends. The counselors, most of them experienced and familiar hands at Boys State, stand today as a committee of welcome. Throughout the week to come, they'll be constantly available for advice and help to our new young citizens. Before any state can get down to business, its political parties have to be functioning. Nationalist or Federalist. Their registration numbers decide. The National Party for this one, the Federal Party for the next in line, and so on. To what county unit does each citizen belong? Here at General Headquarters is where he finds out. From now on, new friendships, party affiliations, and governmental groups take over as the state stirs into life. There is at least one basic problem immediately facing all 13 counties of Boys State. It's obvious that some of our budding politicians need a good deal more practice than they have time for now. As for the moment, They've all been called to the Assembly Hall where their first official welcome awaits them. They meet past State Legion Commander and present Boys State Chief Counselor Chester Phillips. They also meet their own Chief Executive, now nearing the end of his term, the 24th Governor of Mountaineer Boys State, Glenn Kiger.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to welcome you here this afternoon to Mountaineer Boys State, and I see by the expressions on your faces that you must be getting the same thrill and feeling the same feelings that I felt when I set out there last year. I hope you will enjoy your week here. I think you'll find it a most gratifying and most fulfilling experience. I think you'll be a much richer young man when you return home, and I'm sure you'll be a much better citizen. The food is good, the counselors are excellent, the beds are soft. Enjoy yourself, have fun.
That fun will have to wait for a while as our young citizens briefly learn about party organization and election procedures until dinner time. It doesn't take much instruction to find the right place. There are no political divisions here. United in healthy hunger, 350 Boys Staters gather together. Before the week is out, these young men will have gone through nearly $10,000 worth of food. If a healthy government requires a healthy electorate, then the kitchen staff is more than equal to these healthy appetites. Dinner over, it's back for more practical politics, committee organization, and party strategy. Of the 131 staff counselors, 40 are permanent for the week. The remaining 91 are technical specialists, many of them state employees, donating their knowledge, experience, and time. West Virginia neither cuts into pay nor vacation time for releasing its civil servants to this cause. It's been a long day, and for the next few hours, quorums, campaigns, and candidates will have to continue in dreams. But in this small corner of Jackson's Mill, the night's activity has barely begun. When you're putting together a daily newspaper, deadlines are no respecter of hours. This much is certain. With daylight, every Boys Stater will have his copy of the Mountaineer. The first full day in Boys State, after raising the flag, cleaning quarters, and eating breakfast, begins with studying the problems of taxation, county government, and the judicial system. Also today, the start of the primary political campaign. And any boy who wants a place in the legal machinery of Boys State must pass a bar examination. This group intends to take it. A law lecture was sent to the home of every Boys Stater long before he arrived. A legally trained advisor is helping those interested to brush up on the subject before putting their knowledge to the test. After lunch comes the exam. The impressive number who have signed up for the test speaks for itself. Only from this list of those who passed can come the Attorney General, judges, lawyers, and prosecuting attorneys. Elsewhere, the campaigning effort begins to pick up speed. Posters sprout everywhere. No room here for shrinking political violets. But little worry, every boy, it seems, is seeking to be a candidate for something. These how do you do and vote for me techniques may be old, but increasing rivalry among our new young candidates adds edge and meaning to the practice. Each cottage, acting as a county unit, has its own polling place and officials to run it. The candidate lists are on separate primary ballots, pink for one party, orange for the other. Here, the brow-wrinkling muscle of independent choice, the only real way to exercise democracy. And finally, into the ballot box. With morning, the activity begins all over again. The primary winners of last night are the campaign nominees of today. The Nationalists and Federalists have their respective tickets, headed by their candidates for governor, Gandy versus Peters, and the battle for ballots is joined again. There are plenty of posts to fill in this lively boys' state of ours. The nominees outdo themselves in their bids for attention. The lectures in practical politics get down to brass tacks, and the advisors, experienced in the art, know the answers. They better with questions like this.
In the campaign, to what extent does the governor decide his own platform?
Oh, very greatly. He can do this by emphasis on specific features of the party's platform. He can do this by extending the meaning of the party's platform, or by statements of his own on subjects or on areas that are not covered in the platform entirely. He is entirely on his own as far as his platform is concerned.
Outside, Boys State Band, still a little rough around the edges, is sharpening up as it plays its part in the campaign. As the day progresses, the big drive is directed toward the final personal appeals of the two top candidates. First, Federalist Wayne Gandy.
Tonight, I sincerely ask you to vote for the best candidate for the office, regardless of his party affiliation. This is your state, and your first loyalty is to it. Vote the way that will pave the way for West Virginia to go all the way.
Now, Nationalist Philip Peters has his say.
But for you, the citizens of Boys State, remember, a vote for me is not just a vote for Peters or a vote for the Nationalist Party, but a vote for a better Boys State. Thank you. Thank you.
And so the wave of enthusiasm finally subsides, leaving its silent reminders behind. Voting, as in last night's primary, takes place in the county cottages. On the way, there's yet another fling at tag-end campaigning. But the serious goal of all the noise is still the private, lonely choice and the ballot counting that gives it larger meaning. The morning tells the tale. Philip Peters is the 25th governor of American Legion Boys State. Political victory, of course, deserves and gets its high-spirited moments. But the hard administrative work of governing follows close behind. Governor Peters, meeting with his Board of Public Works, tackles the budget. Each member, auditor, treasurer, secretary of state, commissioner of agriculture, attorney general, and superintendent of schools, is battling hard for his own department. Under their advisor, an assistant to the West Virginia Board of Public Works in Charleston, a realistic Boys State budget will finally be prepared and presented to the legislature. From now till the end of the week, the Senate meets in daily session. As in all legislative bodies, numerous resolutions are drawn up for consideration, debate, and possible adoption. Whichever party is in the majority can make a sizable difference in whether Governor Peters' programs are obstructed or eased into Boys State law. A flow of executive appointments must also gain the Senate's advice and consent before becoming final. votes just as important as those that went into the ballot box. The House of Delegates, like the Senate, also convenes each morning. The consideration of bills, possibly even constitutional amendments, its main function. This may be play at government, but it's play with purpose. Play directed toward fulfilling the best of American ideals and practice. Judge Chauncey H. Browning of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals is attending his 14th swearing-in ceremony at American Legion Boys State. But first he speaks to the assembly.
The Romans called their youthful citizens the juveniles. Youth is suspicious of pious precept, but almost always impressed by noble example. Perhaps we should be more concerned about our senilis than we are about our juvenilis.
Governor Peters, sworn into office, assumes the full stature of his post.
In the coming year, West Virginians have a chance to prove both their national and state patriotism by selling West Virginia through the centennial. We already know that West Virginia is the best state in the nation, but this is our opportunity to show the rest of the country. Thousands of people will visit West Virginia during the centennial. Many steps, such as Governor Barron's cleanup campaign, have already been undertaken and are now in progress to ready West Virginia for this centennial. West Virginians, this is our chance. Let us make the most of it. I've always been taught that when anyone does anything nice for me, you should thank them for it. And in closing, I'd like to take this opportunity now to say thank you to the citizens and all those responsible for my being elected to the governorship of Mountaineer Boys State of 1962. Thank you.
But all is not ceremony, classes, and work at Mountaineer Boys State. Play is as necessary as learning. And here on these scenic grounds, every provision is made to keep Jack from becoming a dull boy. After a hard game, what better time for cool refreshment? These canned soft drinks, by the way, are sponsor-provided. No cost to the boys. For others, these moments of free choice mean imbibing from a deeper source. It's provided and it's used. Inspiration on a more personal level comes during the evening inaugural assembly. West Virginia University President Dr. Paul A. Miller deeply touches his young audience.
Remember, when you get in trouble or get out there where leadership has to get by itself from time to time, and that is what leadership is, not buried in the committee, out by itself. I hope you'll remember once in a while, because that's the reason it's put on so many college and university seals, more than any other phrase. It's on there out of Matthew, let your light shine before men. Let your light shine before men. You've been a wonderful audience. I know you're all going to be great leaders. I hope you'll find where there are more challenges in this country, that you'll find them in West Virginia, exciting challenges for leaders, that you'll continue ever your education, and that I can have the privilege to meeting many of you as colleagues together in one pursuit or the other as the years unfold. Thank you kindly.
Another day, and there's a new class for our governmental learners. The West Virginia State Police show the troopers of Boys State the fundamentals of weapons and how to use them properly and effectively. Elsewhere, all administrative and legal units of city, county, and state are in full operation. For instance, this session of Boys State Circuit Court. Being tried is a damage suit stemming from an auto collision. While the actual incidents happen to other people, the witness story has been prepared from the true occurrence. The opposing lawyers have thoroughly researched the case, and the technical procedures of trial go ahead with as much decorum as in any regular court in the land. The advisor is on hand to get the boys over any rough legal hurdles. The young judge charges the jury, and the foreman rises to give the verdict. Boys they may be, but they're fully capable of perceiving and pursuing the goal of justice. Every musically trained boy stater has been rehearsing with the band from the day he arrived. Some of them brought along their own instruments. For those who didn't, friends of the Legion see to it that they're supplied. This is the final practice session before the week's most important performance. The band and citizenry of Boys State pass in formal review. Governors Barron and Peters, along with State Legion Commander Adams, stand in their place of honor. Next day, as in the one before it, our young citizens head toward their various responsibilities and posts. Every level and branch of government is by now a busily functioning part of Boys State. The Boys State Supreme Court of Appeals is called into session by the bailiff. The 5 judges of the High Court wear their robes of authority. They are considering an appeal from a circuit court decision that picture-taking in a courtroom and its use in news coverage can so prejudice a jury that a mistrial should be declared. Here is a delicate legal point that is still a bone of contention in the nation's regularly constituted courts. As to points of law, the opposing Boys State lawyers may have consulted with their advisors, but their arguments are their own. So will be the written decision of the 5 judges. Learning by doing is the constant yardstick at Mountaineer Boys State, a measure that brings its various rewards on the final day of encampment, awards ranging from individual citations of merit to the trophy for the best-kept cottage. But the highest honor goes to 2 outstanding boys who will represent West Virginia at Boys Nation in Washington, D.C. Chosen from 26,000 American Legion Boys Staters across the nation are these 98 high school juniors from 48 states and the District of Columbia. Once again, they'll be practicing at government, but this time on a national level. Let's meet the boy senators from West Virginia. Young Bill Mack of Clarksburg is with his district congressman, Arch Moore. Noel Eister is a Huntington boy. His district representative, Ken Heckler. Both congressmen are Legionnaires and know very well the rigorous point-scoring system of the Boys State counselors that sent Noel and Bill to Boys Nation. Only the best in ability, leadership, and performance can bring these young men to Washington. Qualities that had their beginnings in Boys State with its training, experience, and fellowship. With the pin each young citizen is given at the end of his stay at Jackson's Mill. With the nurturing of love for God and country that lies at the root of the American Legion's purpose and existence. West Virginians can be proud that their Boys State is the 2nd oldest in the nation. W.W. Barron, Governor and Legionnaire, projects that same pride toward the future.
These boys, as those who have gone before them at Jackson's Mill, will soon be full-time adult citizens, and we can hope their experience there in the practice of democracy may lead them to fuller, more satisfying participation in the civic life of which they will soon become a part, with 1962 being the silver anniversary of the Jackson's Mill experiment, and 1963 the centennial year of West Virginia's acceptance into the Federal Union. I like to think of American Legion Boys State as a sure and steady bridge into the years and anniversaries to come. Men of tomorrow.